welcome. Good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday. Now it's time to look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's edition of Looking Forward. This show is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life as well as mine, and impact our choices, stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. So let's get going. Tonight's edition packs a punch with 4 big news developments that are to take place over the week and beyond. Our story number 1 takes you to the next Bihar Chief Minister question. After the NDA's sweeping victory in the state elections, a big question lingers. Will Nitish Kumar seek a record 10th term, or will the BJP push for its own face as it emerges the single largest party? We bring you the latest on the power plays and alliance dynamics that will define Bihar's future and the path to a Viksit Bihar. Our story number 2 is on the G20 summit, set to kick off in Johannesburg from 22nd of November, with South Africa taking the helm. Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping are set to attend, while President Trump is boycotting the event over a row with the host. This summit carries a huge strategic weight as the global south asserts itself amid escalating trade wars and power shifts. We offer a close look at the key agendas and high-stakes dynamics on the table. Our story number 3 focuses on the Bangladesh question, with Bangladesh's National Security Advisor Khalilur Rahman making a crucial visit to India for the Colombo Security Conclave meeting. This comes at a time of sharp realignments in South Asian politics and military ties with China and Pakistan. We analyze why India must walk the fine line of engagement and deterrence as regional stability hangs in the balance. And finally, our story number 4 is on the upcoming and high-stakes vote in the US Congress to release the Epstein files, potentially exposed high-profile connections, including those to Donald Trump. This vote could shake the American political landscape and impact trade policies, making it a global event worth watching as the 2026 midterms loom. Let's begin with the headlines first. Big political scoop on Republic. Sources say Nitish Kumar will remain the Chief Minister of Bihar, with the formation of the new state government expected in another 3 days after the cabinet formula was finalized at a meeting with Union Home Minister Amit Shah.
मैंने सिर्फ अपने भाई को अपने घर से निकाला है। मेरी बहनें, मेरी माता, मेरे पिता मेरे साथ हैं।
RJD's heavy defeat in Bihar elections has set off a bitter breakdown inside Lalu Prasad's family, with Tejasvi Yadav and Rohini Acharya clashing over campaign control and the role of key aides. Siddharamaiah DK Shivakumar camp in Delhi amid Karnataka cabinet reshuffle buzz, even as both Karnataka leaders publicly deny any rift, but overlapping Delhi engagements, last-minute schedule changes and internal pressure points to intensifying power dynamics in the state unit. New CCTV images and digital evidence strengthen the case against terror. Dr. Omar capturing him at an ATM just a day before the Red Fort explosion. His phone data shows he was actively radicalizing people and trying to set up a wider sleeper cell network. And also the big news now coming in, it is the NIA now calling the Delhi blast a suicide attack.
The last thing you hear is the door. Your sanctuary is your imagination.
As crackdown on terror system continues, Indian Army posts a strong video message under the title of Door to Door. The video message in the end says, "You can't hide." In the midst of Bihar's political whirlwind, the NDA has swept away a resounding victory, claiming 202 seats in the 243-member assembly. But one burning question lingers. Who will be Bihar's next chief minister? As Nitish Kumar eyes a historic 10th term, will the BJP push for its own face as it emerges as the single largest party in the state? Now, this mandate carries huge strategic weight for the NDA's future. While celebrations erupt from Patna to Delhi, we explore the power plays, alliance deals, and the seismic shifts that hang in the balance. Here is a peek at the saffron surge, the CM conundrum, and the path to Viksit Bharat.
एनडीए की अब तक की सबसे बड़ी विजय इस चुनाव में पक्की है दोस्तों। 14 तारीख के बाद आपको मैं कह रहा हूं विजय उत्सव की तैयारी कर लीजिए।
Let's tell you that as of this minute, the NDA has crossed the 200 mark. This is unprecedented. Not sure the last time an alliance crossed the 200 mark in Bihar. 201, that's the total number of leads.
बिहार ने 2010 के बाद का सबसे बड़ा जनादेश एनडीए को दिया है। मैं बहुत विनम्रता से एनडीए के सभी दलों की ओर से बिहार की महान जनता का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं बिहार की महान जनता को आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं।
बोलिए मोदी सरकार की जय, बोलिए नीतीश सरकार की जय। भारत माता की, भारत माता की।
आज बिहार का जीत हुआ है, रफ्तार पकड़ लिया बिहार।
महिलाओं ने प्रचंड बहुमत देकर हमारे सरकार बनाई।
बिहार में विकास पुरुष नीतीश कुमार है तो भारत में बैठा लौह पुरुष आदरणीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी है।
हम महिलाओं के लिए तो एनडीए सरकार ने बहुत कुछ किया है। 10,000 मुख्यमंत्री योजना के अंतर्गत उन्हें सशक्त बनाया, हमारा अपना घर हुआ है।
The people of Bihar have given their mandate. It is a saffron sweep.
कि सत्यता की जीत है, सच्चाई की जीत है, ईमानदारी की जीत है, परिश्रम की जीत है।
From the dusty streets of Patna to the villages of Muzaffarpur, 74 million voters have spoken. The result? A seismic shift in India's heartland. The National Democratic Alliance (NDA) storms to victory, claiming 202 seats in the 243-member assembly. It is a mandate so resounding that it echoes across the nation.
जय छठी मैया। ये प्रचंड जीत, ये अटूट विश्वास बिहार के लोगों ने बिल्कुल गर्दा उड़ा दिया है।
But one question hangs in everyone's mind. Who will be the Bihar's next chief minister? Yet amid the chaos, one name rises like the morning sun: Nitish Kumar. At 74, the Sushashan Babu, the good governance man, is poised for an unprecedented 10th term. As Nitish Kumar eyes term 10, Bihar stands at crossroads. Promises: 10 lakh jobs, flood control, and Viksit Bihar by 2047. The JDU, with 85 seats, emerged as the second largest party after the BJP, which has a tally of 89. Although Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, who has been an MLC, did not contest the elections himself, the polls have been seen as a referendum on him. The JDU is ecstatic about the win, and party leaders are confident that Nitish Kumar will be the next Chief Minister.
मुख्यमंत्री जी और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के संयुक्त अभियान में और अभियान के लिए ये लोग लगे थे और उसमें सभी एनडीए के विधायक लोगों ने 202 सीटों पर जीता। उसके लिए मैंने माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी को आभार व्यक्त करने के लिए आया था। आभार व्यक्त कर दिए और प्रणाम सलाम कर लीजिए। इसी के लिए न्योता मिला था कि सब लोग मिल रहा है, आप भी मिल लीजिए।
The hectic parleys have already begun in Patna. Post-results meeting confirmed continuity. On November 15, Chirag Paswan met Nitish Kumar in Patna, stating this.
मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि बिहार और बिहारियों में वो बुद्धि है, वो क्षमता है कि सही समय पर सही फैसला लेते हैं। ये एक लंबे समय के बाद बिहार में डबल इंजन की सरकार को मजबूती देने का एक ऐसा लम्हा आया जहां एक तरफ मेरे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सोच तो वहीं मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी के अनुभव का गठजोड़ अगले 5 साल मजबूती से बिहार को विकास की राह पर आगे लेकर जाने का काम करेगा।
For the BJP, who has emerged as the single largest party, there could be a possible change of the chief ministerial face this time.
And I think Bihar deserves a special, stable, forward-looking and a futuristic government to set the tone for the next 25 years. Whether it is time for a BJP CM or not, I think it's very important to us to understand the processes behind it. I think it's a historic mandate and there are 5 political parties. So the 5 political parties, their representative, their top leadership would sit, would do a brainstorming, would do an introspection and then reach to a conclusion. I think it's just a matter of couple of days. The clarity would be within us in the next 48 hours. So I don't think there is any point in speculating over it.
The right-leaning voice, Ratan Sharda, says that it is best if Nitish Kumar becomes the chief minister. Here's why.
It was very clear that Nitish Kumar is the CM candidate. I still believe that if his health is okay, he will take oath as a chief minister. And after that, maybe when his health doesn't permit him to work more, at that time the question will arise. Right now, I believe it will be left to Nitish Kumar ji to take a decision. And BJP will not play any games at this moment because it's a moment of very wonderful victory. So rather than getting into some kind of dispute, they will expect Nitish Kumar to take a stand. And to my mind, being made a chief minister and then later on as he feels fit or unfit, he can decide. And that would be I would just think that would be the normal, rational way of doing it.
As far as critics are concerned, they say that the BJP must avoid Nitish as the chief minister. Here is the reason that they state.
BJP, the best case scenario is now to avoid appointing Nitish Kumar as the CM, which is what they have been hinting at from the very beginning. So what is likely to happen is that they will attempt to form a government on their own with the smaller NDA allies without JDU. And then if it's needed, I think they will probably get to nearly 122 as a result of that. And if needed, they will break some Congress or JDU MLAs to get over 122. So they will not have Nitish Kumar or JDU as a partner.
Critics have also detailed on why RJD and Rahul failed to score a goal.
What Tejasvi should have done, along with the Congress party, is to have offered jobs as a credible agenda, not one sarkari job for every household. That would have meant 2.5 crore jobs over a course of 5 years in the government, when current government job number is only 20 lakh. So 2.5 crore government jobs would have meant an increase of 10 times. Now, but that's a ridiculous idea, because in 3 sectors we've estimated, the police, the school and higher education system, and in the health system, these 3 sectors which account for 85% of government staff, there are about 6.5 to 7 lakh vacancies and shortfall. So they could have been filled over this period, and that would have improved governance. It would have improved education situation, the health status of the population. It could have therefore, by combining proper governance and education and health, they would have actually invited investment, and that would have led to faster growth. But on the contrary, they came up with a non-credible 2.5 crore sarkari jobs.
Throughout the campaign, the BJP said the elections were being fought under Nitish's leadership. They praised his governance record. But whenever they were asked if Nitish would be the chief minister again, BJP leaders avoided giving a direct answer. They repeatedly said that parties' elected MLAs would decide the chief minister after results. We have seen how unpredictable BJP's choices can be. In Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, and even the national capital. The BJP has always surprised everyone with unexpected chief ministerial picks. Sources close to Republic say that Nitish will make a comeback and take the throne of the chief minister yet again. The swearing-in ceremony of which is slated to take place between the 19th to 20th of November. Nitish Kumar has called a cabinet meeting tomorrow. The dissolution of the outgoing 17th Assembly is likely to be approved at the meeting. The NDA's constituent parties will then hold their legislative party meetings to elect the alliance's leader and then stake claim to form the new government. The BJP is likely to have the lion's share in the cabinet, followed by the JDU, with even the smaller allies being accommodated in the cabinet plan. Mandate given, and the focus now shifts to the chief ministerial post.
In the midst of a fractured global order against a backdrop of escalating trade wars and power shifts, the G20 summit kicks off in Johannesburg on 22nd of November. With South Africa at the helm, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping set to attend. But US President Donald Trump is boycotting over a bitter row with the host, the President of South Africa. Now, this gathering carries a huge strategic weight as the world grapples with tariffs, supply chains, and the rise of global south. While Trump's absence spotlights isolation, We essentially explore why Delhi's steady hand reinforces India's leadership, and not just that, it is also a focus essentially on how Global South becomes the biggest talking point and whether at all there is going to be a change as far as the world order is concerned, and how exactly will the United States of America essentially respond to what really happens here without the presence of President Trump. Here's a peek at the shifting alliances, key agendas and high-stake dynamics that hang in the balance at this crucial summit.
The G20 in Johannesburg marks a pivotal moment. Hosted by South Africa, the first time for any African country.
First time that the summit is being hosted by an African country. South Africa is the sole G20 member from the African continent. Of course, you have the African Union there now through the presidency of India in 2023 when the AU was a full member. So from a symbolic point of view, this is a very important event pertaining not just to South Africa, but the African continent, demonstrating that Africa is capable of providing global leadership.
The theme, solidarity, equality, sustainability for our G20 presidency. Guided by our theme, we will use our G20 presidency to refocus global attention on the social, economic, and environmental dimensions of development in the economies of Africa and the Global South.
The 19th summit brings together the world's top economies representing 85% of the global GDP and $100 trillion in trade, almost 75% of the planet's population, from climate change to debt relief. Key agendas include reforming multilateral institutions and countering economic fragmentation amid US-China tension. Confirmed attendees include Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping, signaling a robust Global South presence. India's 2023 legacy shines when Prime Minister Modi championed African Union's permanent membership, hugging the African Union chair Azali Osmani and sitting him at the high table, a move that elevated Global South's representation from 19 to 20 plus voices, countering Western dominance in the G20 bloc.
आगे की कार्रवाई शुरू करने से पहले मैं अफ्रीकन यूनियन के अध्यक्ष को G20 के स्थायी सदस्य के रूप में अपना स्थान ग्रहण करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
This inclusion, backed by India's diplomacy, sets the tone for Johannesburg, where Africa leads on equity.
So India has driven the G20 with a lot of commitment. It has demonstrated its leadership of G20. Normally, G20s were being driven by the G7 countries. But if you look at the last 4 years, starting from Indonesia to India to Brazil to South Africa, continuously for 4 years, the G20 meetings were held by the countries of the Global South. India demonstrated its commitment towards Global South by having a very ambitious, very action-oriented and a forward-looking agenda. More than anything else, it ensured the entry of African Union as a member of G20 and made it G21.
But the summit faces drama, as Trump's white genocide narrative sparks a White House firestorm with Ramaphosa that began earlier this year.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. Okay. I mean, it's in South Africa this week.
Trump continues to accuse South Africa of human rights abuse against white farmers, leading to a total US boycott. Trump's Truth Social post seals it. No US delegation citing South Africa's alleged abuses.
For generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing
communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. You know, I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told them I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of South America. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of the world.
South African president is undeterred, who says it's Trump's loss.
All I can say in my experience in politics is that boycotts never really work. They have a very contradictory effect. The United States, by not being at the G20, one must never think that we are not going to go on with the G20. The G20 will go on. All other heads of state will be. In the end, we will take fundamental decisions, and their absence is their loss.
As PM Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping step up, underscoring G20's resilience without Washington, Trump's antics have once again dragged his lack of strategic fortitude into focus.
The absence of the United States at the G20 shows really an abdication of leadership in international efforts for peace and prosperity. The reason given is totally bogus, that somehow South Africa is discriminating and even killing whites, and so that where you're staying away is not borne out by the facts. And indicates that a great democracy like India, other great democracies which are in the G20, must step up to provide leadership based upon those principles and values which have made India a great nation.
South Africa views Trump's absence as minimal disruption, focusing on equitable trade and debt reforms.
On false grounds of the charges of discrimination against Africans. And that too, when you read the history of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, where the African community was found to be, in fact, the most discriminatory to the extent of using barbaric kind of means to punish, to hurt the black majority of South Africa, and therefore for Trump to give the argument of discriminatory behavior against the Africans is ludicrous. In fact, it is laughable, really.
Amid Trump's snub, India's African Union push is paying dividends, whereas for host South Africa, priorities include managing India-China tensions and amplifying African voices.
It's very important that India works with the countries of the Global South. Only when the countries of the Global South unitedly work for causes of sustainable development goals, of climate, of greater flow of financial resources from the developed part of the world to the Global South. After all this crisis of climate have been caused by the developed world. And therefore, it's necessary that to realize that the only institution which can drive the cause of the Global South is the G20 as an institution. United Nations, Security Council, WTO have outlived their utility. But amongst the multilateral forum, the only forum left today is the G20, and it is necessary that irrespective of the stand which the United States has taken, all the countries of the Global South work together and support South Africa.
I don't think South Africa will be looking forward to or will be attempting anything in particular to manage the geopolitical situation globally, whether it is a USA vis-a-vis India or USA or Europe or USA and China. I don't think that is not the remit of G20. G20 was basically formed to manage the economic situation, economic expectations of the developing world. And if you remember, it was formed in the wake of the financial crisis after the Lehman Brothers had gone under. And the major agenda for G20 really is economic. It's a formation of the major developing country bloc and the developed countries bloc, G7 plus others.
Amidst all this enters President Xi Jinping. His attendance not only bolsters China's multipolar vision, but also counters US-led decoupling.
Well, I think we have to look at the context just slightly. I mean, this is the first time that the G20 is being held in Africa. The slogan is solidarity, equality, sustainability. Now, these are things that, definitely reflect the global South. They want to talk about issues like economic recovery, climate financing, food security, digital transformation. And the U.S. has boycotted. Trump has said some nasty things about South Africa, somehow being unfair to white South Africans. And Rubio deliberately boycotted the ministers' meeting before. China is presenting itself as consistent, that it's a power that is interested in continuity and engagement.
G20 eyes supply chain resilience. China emerges as a significant power in the room, wielding critical minerals and tech sovereignty.
China has been growing its trade outside of the traditional Western markets, especially the developed countries. You start looking at Europe and the United States, and you'll see that China has reduced its trade footprint with them. I shouldn't say reduced. There's also been a push to push China away. But it has been increasing dramatically in other areas, to the extent that Chinese trade is actually growing at a fairly fast clip, around 5 to 8%, depending on which month that you're talking about, in the face of this kind of united opposition to China.
Trump's approach is polar opposite to India's, where Delhi championed inclusion. With PM Modi leveraging for African ties, Trump has chosen isolation amid his tariff war.
We believe in a multilateral world, we believe in a multipolar world, and we believe that America will come back to the G20. After all, G20 was started by the United States of America. United States of America will be hosting G20 next year in the United States. It is therefore imperative that the United States plays a constructive and a positive role for the future prosperity of the world. It's also important that India works together with all other countries, including China. We work together with Russia. We work together with European countries. All of us need to work together. There are certain causes which require us. Global growth, global prosperity is necessary.
Johannesburg's G20 isn't merely a gathering of nations. It's a dawn of a new world order. From PM Modi embracing a hug at Delhi's high table to President Xi's strategic stride, fractured West fights for relevance as emerging powers claim their rightful seat.
In the midst of deepening Bangladesh-China-Pakistan ties against a backdrop of uncertainty in South Asia, National Security Advisor is set to visit India for the first time since ties hit rock bottom after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, who remains in exile in India. Now, this visit of the NSA carries huge strategic weight as Bangladesh realigns its military as well as political outlook in the neighborhood, while Bangladesh's unelected interim advisor Mohammad Yunus pushes Dhaka deeper into the embrace of China as well as Pakistan. We explore why Delhi must engage yet deter. Here is a peek at the shifting sands, rising radicalism and shifting regional stability that hand in the balance behind this crucial trip.
Since the coup that led to the ouster of Sheikh Hasina in 2024, Bangladesh's unelected interim advisor, Mohammad Yunus, has systematically dismantled the relationship with India.
It's amazing, meticulously designed thing. It's not just suddenly came, it's not like that. Very well designed.
Bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh is down by 35%, from $14 billion in 2023 to just $9.1 billion in 2025, since India shut its land ports to Bangladesh. Joint counter-terrorism operations have hit a pause. Teesta water talks have frozen, with Yunus's pro-China pivot for the critical project very close to India's Siliguri corridor. Yunus has reversed all of Hasina's bans, reopening shipping lanes to Pakistan and resuming intelligence exchanges with the ISI. In 2025 alone, ISI delegations have visited Dhaka at least 3 times, once in January, then in May after Operation Sindoor, and the latest just last month in October. Just this month alone, Yunus and Bangladesh's Army Chief General Waqar Zaman have discussed enhanced cooperation with top Pakistani General Sahir Shamshed Mirza. Amidst all this, Bangladesh's National Security Advisor Khalilur Rahman, a close aide of Mohammad Yunus, is set to visit India on November 19th to participate in a meeting of the Colombo Security Conclave, following the invitation of India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. The visit of the National Security Advisor of Bangladesh is critical, as it comes just days after an unprecedented event in recent history. Pakistan's Navy ship PNS Saif docked at the Chattogram port, first since 1971 Liberation War. Not just that, Pakistan's Navy Chief Admiral Naveed Ashraf also visited Dhaka last week, showing the highest levels of military engagement resuming since the coup and since 1971.
The political climate in Bangladesh has been steadily worsening since last July. You know, the so-called spontaneous student uprising has very quickly been unmasked as a very carefully crafted, meticulously designed, to use the words of Mohammad Yunus himself, a meticulously designed regime change operation. This regime change operation since last August has been marked by increasing violence within the country, perpetrated more and more by the interim government and its various agencies, and together with this, a declining support for what the interim regime has in mind. One must understand that the real power behind the interim regime within Bangladesh is the Jamaat-e-Islami. And the Jamaat-e-Islami has declared, together with the individual advisors to Mohammad Yunus in his interim regime, that they want a caliphate in Bangladesh. So this is a very difficult situation, but if free, fair, inclusive and credible elections are held in Bangladesh, whichever party wins, there will be no problem, because India will be more than willing to do business with that party and to ensure that in Bangladesh we have a friendly government, because the people support the values of the liberation war. They support secularism and democracy in Bangladesh.
It's not just Pakistan. Yunus's tilt towards China is also concerning. Yunus's last Beijing trip had raised alarm bells in New Delhi over the Chinese investment in the Teesta Rejuvenation Project and the shocking revival of the World War II era Lal Monirhar Air Base for Chinese access, just 80 kilometers from the Siliguri corridor.
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters. They are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy.
New Delhi earlier this year was optimistic of revival of ties with Bangladesh, and the focus was on preventing Pak's terror footprint in Bangladesh.
I had used the word epicenter of terrorism.
for a particular country. Now that countrymen, if they go to any other place and they happen to be our neighbor, as far as I am concerned, I should be concerned about it. That they should not be able to use that soil to kind of send terrorists to India. That is as far as that is concerned. As far as the second setup is concerned, that how's the administration, my stance is that when we have elected government, then we can say how should be our relationship. But so the military relationship is concerned is very strong. And we are able to exchange notes whenever we want. And that's what we have been doing it.
But with radical elements like Hafiz Saeed's close aides being spotted close to India's Siliguri corridor in Bangladesh and the rising ISI movement in Dhaka, India's military priority has shifted in the last 8 months.
आपको मैं आश्वासन देना चाहूंगा कि भारत की तीनों सेनाएं, आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स, वायुसेना, थल सेना और नौसेना और सभी एजेंसीज, जो भी सिचुएशन हमारे आसपास हो रही है हम उसको मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं और जो भी कदम उठाने चाहिए हमें या जो हमें उठाने पड़ेंगे भविष्य में हम वो करेंगे.
India has begun its largest mobilization on the Eastern Front with exercise Purvi Prachand Prahar and various NOTAMs in place till January in Northeast and Bay of Bengal. India's warning is very clear. Any misadventure, any export of instability, and India will be ready.
The very fact that the ISI connived with the CIA to create this colored so-called Gen Z revolution in Bangladesh is an attempt to undo the security restructuring of South Asia that was done by India in 1971. It highlighted India's role as the preeminent power in South Asia, and Pakistan has tried to undo this. Pakistan has tried to undo this by, in connivance with the CIA of the United States. So they are, trying to threaten that they can cut the Siliguri corridor. May I remind Bangladesh that they have that entire thumb of Rangpur that juts out like a thumb into Indian territory can be nipped off at the butt, at the base. And they also have a Chittagong corridor. And we can cut these corridors off. In the bargain, Bangladesh will be a much smaller state. Maybe it would be a neater state and more well-behaved.
The National Security Advisor of Bangladesh arrives at a pivotal point. While Mohammad Yunus eyes legitimacy post the Awami League ban, the Bangladesh army seems to be wary of Pakistan and may seek Indian balance. It's a tightrope for the Bangladesh army between stability and chaos.
This interim regime led by Yunus, they want to turn Bangladesh into a radical Islamist country or a caliphate. They want to impose Sharia law in this country. On the other hand, what we expected our army to do, or what was expectations of the popular masses with our army, they are not really doing that actually. Our army is more or less silently letting Yunus advance his agenda, or in some cases even army is helping Yunus in implementing this agenda. So with these realities, I mean, what willingness army or has about his relations with India is unclear, but it is clear that Yunus is very much willing to destroy his relations with India and become another Pakistan.
The big question now emerges, what will be India's move to salvage the relationship with Bangladesh? With the elections due in Dhaka in just 3 months and Hasina still in exile in India with her party banned from competition.
We are not allowed to conduct any election preparation. So even if the ban is lifted at the last minute, the elections will be a sham. It will not be recognized by the people of the country. It will not be recognized by international observers. They will all be forced to say that these elections will not be free and fair. And so that such an election will not last. There will be unrest in the country.
Under Prime Minister Modi, India has followed a very strong and effective neighborhood first foreign policy. And Bangladesh has been the most successful example of this neighborhood first foreign policy. And I would like to explain it in one very significant way. When I was High Commissioner in Bangladesh and Begum Khalda Zia of the BNP was in government in an alliance with the Jamaat-e-Islami, at that time the most significant issue between India and Bangladesh was the security issue, the whole set of issues which comprised the security threat to India, which was coming from the Bangladesh government support for Indian insurgent groups from Northeast India and from any other anti-Indian group that was readily being given shelter in Bangladesh. So India has always wanted that the Bangladesh government, any political party, should respect India's security concerns and respect India's security red lines.
The National Security Advisor visit is strategic, with a possible bilateral between NSA Ajit Doval and Khalilur Rahman. All eyes will be on how India would calibrate its military and diplomatic posture.
India's endeavor would be to bring peace and prosperity to the whole region, providing our neighbors let us, providing they don't fall prey to foreign agendas of trying to, display unmitigated hostility towards India, trying to create problems for a much bigger neighbor, India, and that will rebound on them. If they can create problems for us, we can create 10 times the problem for them. And it would grievously harm the Bangladesh economy, the Bangladesh stability as a nation state. It could disintegrate. And it is a pity. We had helped to free this country. We expected these people to at least be grateful.
Khalilur Rahman's Delhi trip isn't just about talks with India. It's about India's line in the sand against Yunus's provocation. From warships to water grabs, with radicals rising and the Chinese lurking. Success means a deterred Dhaka. Failure, a fortified threat. India stands vigilant, its neighborhood first, but never at the cost of India's security.
In the midst of a brewing storm in Washington against a backdrop of resurfacing scandals that could rock the White House, the U.S. Congress gears up for a crucial vote next week on releasing more Epstein files, potentially exposing high-profile connections to the late sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, including President Donald Trump. For India, this isn't just American intrigue. It's a seismic event that could unravel Trump's administration, disrupt U.S. trade policies like the ongoing tariff war as the GOP fissures deepen. This vote tests transparency versus cover-up, threatening Trump's Make America Great Again agenda just before the 2026 midterms. We explore the dark shadows, internal mutiny, and also global ripples that hang in the balance. Here is a peek at the Epstein lore, Trump's denials, and the power shifts that could redefine U.S. leadership.
The man in the red hat who promised America affordability, secured borders, and jobs for Americans by Americans has turned the country not just into quote-unquote a great nation again, but into one of the hottest economies. He has slapped tariffs on top nations left, right, and center to force investments back onto American soil. An audacious business move the White House proudly boasts about. Yet alongside all the so-called chaotic achievements he claims, ranging from stopping wars to solving the jobs crisis, since the man in the red hat came into power, the resurfacing of the old Epstein files has been haunting him ever since. This lore casts a dark shadow over his great American dream, and if anything, this isn't your usual left-wing tall poppy syndrome. Since returning to power, if there is one thing that has remained consistent about Trump, it is his vehement denial about any connection to Epstein.
did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who you know, who that is, Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You got to find out, what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard.
The cracks were beginning to show when the right-wing titan techie Elon Musk, once again seen as Trump's protege, suddenly fell out of orbit. And now, the far-right Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has launched a series of scathing attacks against Trump over the Epstein files. This doesn't seem like falling shards of cards.
I think the Epstein situation is very serious because the underlying principle of a democracy is equal justice under law. You cannot use the law to help your friends, reward your friends, and punish your enemies. And yet that seems to be the way in which President Trump is viewing this investigation. The other great principle which goes to the heart of democracy is transparency. And transparency is necessary for an informed electorate so they can make decisions about their leadership, about policies, and about directions.
This feels like a bigger mutiny, the kind that only erupts when a major power shift is underway.
Listen, there is no historic proximity for President Trump's name to the Epstein file because it is known for the American people that President Trump he has nothing to do with whatever we talk about the Epstein files. The abuse that has happened in the Epstein files, President Trump's name is never ever associated with that particular case. Yes, of course, Epstein has mentioned President Trump's name, but that is not in regards to the sexual scandal that has happened in the island. So that is ruled out. There is no question that his name is not directly associated with this particular case. Yes, of course, there may be Republican lawmakers or Republican leaders' names there. So yes, let it come out. Let it come out and let's see who was involved in that. And that's what the American people wanted to see.
While the Trump White House has taken immense pride in representing itself as fair and transparent on issues concerning the Americans.
We're working around the clock to ensure that justice is served, and also as part of the oversight to figure out why justice has been delayed for so long. All credible information we will ensure is released to the public, and we also, at the same time, are fulfilling our responsibility to protect the innocent victims. The bipartisan House Oversight Committee is already accomplishing what the discharge petition, that gambit, sought, and much more.
But the cabinet's posturing around Epstein-Trump row has been singularly consistent. This is a Democrat-manufactured conspiracy.
I do think that the Epstein files are a bipartisan issue. The entire Democratic side of Congress is voting to release the files. Last time I checked, we have about 4 to 5 Republicans that are also voting to agree to release the files. We have some very prominent voices, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's been a big supporter of President Trump. But what I do think this moment shows is that Democrats are all open for transparency and accountability. If there are Democratic elected officials, donors, anyone associated with the Democratic Party that is in the Epstein files, they deserve to be investigated and outed. So it shows the accountability and transparency on our side. My concern is that by only having 4 Republicans vote to release the files, it makes the Republican Party look like they are providing cover to Jeffrey Epstein, who was a known pedophile. But I think we need Republicans to take a stand and say the same thing on their side, that if there's anyone in the Republican Party that is engaged in pedophilia and the trafficking of young women and young girls and have any attachment to Jeffrey Epstein, they need to be investigated as well.
The Republican Party doesn't need any more opportunity, any more political opportunity, because Democrats have failed the people of the U.S. The last 45 days of the shutdown, the Schumer shutdown, shows that they failed the people of the common people of the United States. They don't care for the people. They don't care for the common people of the United States. They care for the big donors. They care for, the big liberal deep state. That's what they care for. Whereas President Trump and the GOP-controlled Congress and the Senate, they care for the American people. We wanted the government to be reopened. So let's talk about the 2026 midterms. Nothing is going to happen for the GOP side, because we are going to have a sweep win. There is no doubt about it, because Democrats have proved that they have nothing to do with the better choices and the better option for the people. They just want to distribute everything for the illegal criminals. They wanted to distribute everything for the people who doesn't have anything to do with the United States. But we care for the veterans. We care for the people who work hard, and the GOP and President Trump care for the people who burn their life, who wanted to build a family. That's where we wanted to give the insurance. That's where we wanted to. That's why he's saying that the SNAP benefits is not going to be free anymore. If you have to prove that you are not able to work, yes, they're going to get the benefits. So talking about 2026, we don't need any more political opportunity. The nation is going to stand with the President of the United States. The nation knows what he did for last 8 or 10 months. So it's going to continue. Midterm is going to be a sweep victory for the Republican Party.
With the 2026 midterms approaching, the files, the leaks, and Trump's name appearing across scattered communications only deepen the shadow, darker, heavier, and impossible to ignore. Is this a true test of Trump's transparency, or a conspiracy engineered by the Democrats? Which narrative will capture the nation and define America's next chapter? The world is looking forward to it as US Congress rallies for a crucial vote.
Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of Looking Forward. Hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did putting it together. We'll see you next Sunday.